What's the difference between food and great food? Well, ask any chef that question and they'll tell you it's in the ingredients. Having the right quantity and the right quality of ingredients is what makes food taste so delicious. Same thing is true for marriage. You can't just throw two people together in a marriage relationship and hope for great results. The only way to have a great marriage is to follow the recipe the Lord has given us in His Word. That's why the theme for this year's marriage retreat is ingredients for a great marriage.
So basically, communication is one of the hardest things and the most necessary things for a good marriage. And I think both people coming in to marriage come in speaking a different language. And you really have to learn to listen. The answer is not to be heard or talk louder, but to learn how to listen, to know what the other person really is saying.
Communication's like, it's like oxygen, it's like fuel, it's like motion. You can't get anywhere without it. And you think of all the problems that could come up in a marriage over money or relationships or in-laws or parenting, and if your communication's poor, those little problems become massive problems. But if your communication is good, you can really understand each other and care for each other in communication, then even big problems become a lot more manageable. It's just hard to overestimate the importance of communication.
You just have to keep at it.
When we got married, we had expectations that were largely misplaced. I had expectations of Darren that he would lead me and love me in the way that I had prescribed, and he had expectations of me that I was completely unprepared to meet.
That's the dangerous thing about expectations. When our expectations aren't met, then we end up sinning against one another. And Libby and I sinned a lot against each other in our early years of marriage.
We've learned to trust the Lord and are continuing to learn to trust the Lord with our expectations, and also are learning to hold higher expectations of ourselves than that of our spouse.
Well, when they asked Carol and I to speak at this retreat, the Lord reminded me our passage on humility, Philippians 2, which says each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also to the interest of others. And I can assure you that that's an easy verse to memorize, fairly easy to recite, but tremendously difficult to live out in a marriage. If we don't humble ourselves, we are usually in a bad place in our marriage.
Yeah, we learned that right away. We were new believers when we got married, and instead of pointing out the sin in Wayne, I had to begin to humble myself and see where God wanted to grow me so that I could really build my husband up. And our marriage is standing strong because we've learned how to humble ourselves.
So come to the marriage retreat, here's some of our mistakes and God's remedies.